Before I call the meeting to order, and it's because it's not on the agenda, I do want to thank the first responders and our staff and all the volunteers that responded to the tornado in Lamar County. It was a wonderful response, and it just reminds us of how lucky we are to live in Paris and Lamar County. And also, I want to welcome a new council member's son, Liam Mahir, was born Thursday, November 10th. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Now I'll call the meeting to order. The Monday, November 14th, 2022 regular meeting of the Paris City Council is hereby called to order at 5:30 p.m. For the purpose of this meeting, there is a quorum of the council present. Mr. Gene Anderson will deliver the invocation, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mr. Savage. Please.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, we're thankful as always for all the things that you do for us, for your divine intervention. And we pray for our council members tonight that you would guide and direct them as they conduct the city business. Father, we thank you for your watch care. Father, we thank you for the rain that we've had over the last few weeks. And Father, I think we've had enough for a while. And so I do pray, Father, that you'd give us good weather and we might avoid hazardous weather like ice on the roads and things. And Father, we do thank you for watching over our citizens during this tornado activity. And we praise your name and we thank you for every good and perfect gift comes from you. We do pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Item number 4 is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city, city council members, or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for citizens' forum. If necessary, the city council may convene into executive session under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code regarding any item on this agenda. The public forum is now open. If there's anyone who wishes to address the council, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, the citizens' forum is now closed. The items on the consent agenda are approved by a single action of the council, with such approval applicable to all items appearing on the consent agenda. A council member may request any item to be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. Does any member wish to remove an item from the agenda? If not, there's a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Savage. Second. A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Consent agenda is approved. Item number 13, discuss and act on an agreement with Thale Construction Company, Inc. in the amount of $62,852,642 for Phase 1 construction of the wastewater treatment plant project and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents. Mr. Harris?
Mayor, City Council, at the October 24th meeting, you unanimously approved awarding the low bid for construction of the wastewater treatment plant project to Thale Construction Incorporated. You might consider this a housekeeping item, and we are here tonight to request that you authorize Grayson to sign those contract documents.
Thank you. All right, any discussion or questions? All right, I will hear a motion.
I move that we authorize the city manager to sign the agreement with Thale Construction Company Incorporated.
Thank you. And a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. All motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Item number 14, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance regarding the petition for a minor master thoroughfare plan amendment, temporarily removing the entire segment of the proposed major arterial roadway between Farm to Market 195 and Lamar Avenue. Mr. Mack.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. I have an item before you this evening. Your last meeting, we had tabled action items until this meeting. Those are the subsequent items following this, which was brought forward as a part of the discussion with the Planning and Zoning Commission. And based upon city staff recommendation, the line that you see before you on the screen right now represents a plan as a part of our comprehensive plan, updated and adopted in 2018, establishing this as a major arterial roadway. Since that time, we have developed actually, this plan has been roughly in its same shape or form for about 30 years, but we have developed in this portion of the city to the extent that you see as of today versus 30 years ago. We have a lot of development that's occurred in the way. There wasn't a whole lot of detailed research given to this. As a result, we are recommending that you adopt what we are terming the delete all amendment, thereby removing this segment of the master thoroughfare plan from FM 195 down to the Trunk Highway 82 or Lamar Avenue, thereby giving staff and the Planning Commission and likely the Traffic Commission time to further study this and bring forward some changes. So we are recommending at this time that the council approve both by staff and P&Z recommendation this delete all amendment from this location. Also, we're working on review of the route, and we had actually a very good discussion on that today. We will continue to move that discussion forward with the commissions and bring something back to the council in the future. As a result, the two subsequent items on the agenda will need to be, well, we can review this again as soon as we get to that, but we're assuming you follow the P&Z and staff recommendation, then we can address the subsequent items at that time.
Thank you. I will open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak in favor or opposition of this item to please come forward. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Richard Thompson, 3206 Bottom Street. I'm just here tonight not against anything about this. I'm just giving you a little facts and history on this. As he mentioned, it was been 30 years. If you noticed, a few years ago I tried to purchase some land in here. And there's a reason why there's not, if you look at this little map, which we really need to see the entire thing, so you see where it ties into 271. I asked about that. Can you bring that up? The map, the whole map, or larger, show the council the whole thing? Thank you. The reason I'm saying this is in the past when we came before the city or the council for any of this, it wasn't even thought of because it was part of the thoroughfare plan. So you'll notice there's not a lot of buildings done in that area. It hasn't been developed. There's a reason why the city wouldn't allow you. So hang on a second. If you'll notice, he's getting there. I was going to say, I can go on here. Where it ties into 271 is what I was going to say is TxDOT's fixing to have a meeting on, they're going to work on 271. If we decide it might be a good time to get with them and you could actually maybe get this road started I know y'all, every one of y'all has seen a bridge out in the middle of nowhere, no roads running to it, no roads coming off of it. And to finally in the future, they use it. This could be the same thing here, if you want to do it. And also, I would like to say that the people before us, they knew what they were doing. That's the reason it's been there for 30 years, and that's the reason why the city hadn't let it develop. I don't care if it stays there, if it goes away, but I'd like to see where they plan on putting it. Because the work they're fixing to do on Lamar, that's going to be a mess in front of there. It's already a mess coming in front of Walmart and all that. It might not be a bad idea. And the last thought here is consider, many, many moons ago, they made a decision, the council did, to not put an overpass at Collegiate. We might be needing this road someday, because that decision cost people their lives when they took that out. It should have been built originally, now we're having to pay for it. So please take this in consideration and get a plan of how we're going to get around that mess around Walmart before we eliminate what we have for 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor or in opposition?
Hi, good evening. My name is Steve Walker. I'm here on behalf of my clients, Terry and Sandra Fitzgerald. They're also my in-laws. And we have been going through this process with planning and zoning. This roadway basically was not made aware of to most of the property owners out in that area. And just to give you a little perspective, this kind of cuts off of 195 somewhere kind of before you get to the Hills subdivision, and then cuts basically through Elk Hollow Road and goes through the new subdivision that has been approved by Mr. Whitaker there on the old Elk Hollow Golf Course. It goes right between my client's home and their neighbor's home, and then basically bisects the middle of their property across the street, their rental home. I mean, essentially just goes right through a bunch of developed areas, home places, neighborhoods. There may be some of the areas down closer to 271 where there's not a lot of properties, but I mean, a roadway designation in this area would drastically and negatively affect numerous homeowners, landowners, and people that didn't even really know this plan existed. And as long as it's there, they can't develop their property. They've got to disclose it as a potential major thoroughfare that's going to come through. And so we're asking that the council approve the delete all option, allow staff to study if there's still a need for a roadway in this area where it should be, but to remove it from this section. And if you do that, there was Mr. Whitaker had requested, because this existed, to move the roadway designation. Well, when he does that for his subdivision, it moves it further onto my client's property and basically dissects their piece of property in two, and is even more detrimental than where it's located now. So obviously we don't want that to happen, but I don't even think you have to decide that issue if you remove the designation as the city staff has requested. And so that's what we're asking today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Anyone else wishing to speak? All right, I will close the public hearing. Any discussions or questions about the item? All right, and staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission have recommended to delete this from the master thoroughfare plan. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
All right, I'll hear a motion.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Thank you. A motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries to delete 6-0. Item number 15 requires a motion to remove this item from the table.
So moved.
Thank you. A motion and a second. All those in favor of removing this from the table, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. All right. It's to discuss, continue the public hearing, and act on the petition of the City of Paris for a minor master thoroughfare plan amendment altering part of the proposed minor arterial roadway section A3 on LCAD parcel 50218 Askin Survey A7, Tract 8, located at 2330 Northeast 36th Street. Staff, you have a presentation?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Based on your prior action, we are recommending denial of this request.
All right. I will open a public hearing, continue the public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor or opposition of this item? Please come forward now. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Any discussion or questions of Mr. Mack? All right. I will hear a motion on.
I move that we deny these changes.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor of denying, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries, motion fails 6-0.
The motion to deny passed.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries to deny. Item number 16, discuss, continue the public hearing, and act on the petition of Ryan Whitaker for a minor master thoroughfare plan amendment altering part of the proposed minor arterial roadway section A through 3 on LCAD parcel 5021 in the city of Paris, block 317, lot PT10, A7 Askin Survey, located in the 2300 block of Northeast 36th Street. And I need a motion to remove this item
So
from the
moved.
table.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. All right. Mr. Mack, you have a presentation, please.
Again, based on the prior action for the delete all amendment, we are recommending denial of the request.
Thank you. The public hearing is continued from our last meeting. If there's anyone wishing to speak in favor or opposition of this item, please come forward now. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Is there any discussion or questions? All right, I will hear a motion.
Move to deny.
And a second. A motion and a second to deny. Please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries to deny. Item number 17, discuss, conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance considering the petition of Brian Wintermute on behalf of Evan Butler for a comprehensive plan amendment from low-density residential, LDR, to high-density residential, HDR, in the city of Paris, block 317, lot PT of 5, A208 Crow Survey, located at 4065 Pine Mill Road, LCAD 126663. Mr. Mack.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. The subject property in question, you see in this location, there's currently a single-family structure here. The applicant has provided us with a survey of the property, plus or minus 3 acres, is located in, actually, yeah, it's part of a larger survey, but anyway, this is the subject property. We are considering two actions here. First of all is the amendment to the comprehensive plan, setting the stage, so to speak, for a zoning action to be consistent with the plan, which is the procedure we have implemented and we are consistently applying each and every time a rezoning application that comes before both the Planning and Zoning Commission as well as this body. The subject property, we'll go ahead and take a look. You currently see the structure that's located here. It's a vacant, abandoned residence. Surrounding it, we have some vacant, undeveloped land. Off in the distance here, you see where we are entertaining a potential extension of Ruby Way, just south of the Pine Creek Apartments in this location, along with another development we've previously approved for rezoning and amendment to our plan. off in the distance to the west. Surrounding this, we have some undeveloped property. There is a gravel pit operation that occurs just to the north. We see the equipment there. Around the site here, further looking northeast, we've got commercial and light industrial, general commercial type operations. Further to the southeast, we've got townhomes, rental townhomes. And due south, of course, is the traffic coming up Pine Mill through this sharp curve intersection. And just to the south of the site, we have the fire and EMS station. So the recommendation from staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission is for approval of the change to the future land use map in support of the zoning application that will follow on the subsequent agenda items. We did have some discussion at the Planning and Zoning Commission with some concerns from some neighbors in the immediate vicinity. Roughly to the south of the fire station, they were within the 200-foot notification. So just to make you aware of that, but again, the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as the staff, are in support of this change to the land use plan, and also have had the opportunity to make a statement that there is plans for the future extension of this roadway that would navigate roughly through about this location on the site. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Is that road going to be built by the city or privately?
As would be most development in this situation, the current roadway at Ruby Way is a residential street. It's not a bigger thoroughfare, collector, or arterial roadway. So those roadways would be built by the developer when the land is developed, and then the proper connections and extensions would be addressed through the subdivision and platting process, which would be a subsequent applications that come before both the P&Z as well as the council.
Okay. I'll open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak in favor or opposition of this item. Please come forward and state your name and address, please.
My name is Michael Covington. I live on 705 40th Northeast. And we are in opposition of the multifamily. If it was single family, we wouldn't have any problem with it. But we don't want any more multifamily in that area over behind us. And I've got signatures of everybody that was notified by the city of Paris, except for two. One, she just got admitted to the nursing home, is my understanding. And the other one, he works two jobs, so I couldn't get a hold of him. And as far as the Ruby Way, it's going to put more traffic on Pine Mill. And I've already been almost rear-ended several times trying to get into the road going to my house, once by city dump truck.
Okay. Any questions of
Any
Mr.
questions?
Covington?
Yes, so there are already a lot of duplexes,
There's
townhomes
single family homes in our area right there.
in your area?
Yes.
Okay. But, so the traffic is one of the big concerns, right?
Well, the traffic, and we don't really want any multiplexes back behind us, which is what they're propositioning.
Thank you.
Mr. Mack, is the high-density residential, is that an apartment complex?
We were told quadplex is what we were told.
That's correct.
Okay.
That was the concept sketch that was.
I'm sorry.
The application.
I couldn't quite hear you.
Although we're not reacting in the land use amendment or the zoning to the specific plans, the concept was for fourplexes. And the amount of fourplexes shown on the drawing indicate that this would be to a high-density level.
Okay.
Also, I'd like to see if we could read this in the record. We, the people of Windsor Estates, are opposed to the development of parcel with the LCAD number for multifamily homes. So there are 10 signatures on here, and we may need to verify this with regard to the required vote, but I believe this is for the rezoning on the next agenda item.
according to our zoning ordinance, in order to trigger a 3/4 vote on the council, that has to be submitted to the city secretary's office. And the reason for that is so everything can be verified, that it's the right number of property owners, and that has not been done here. So in a vote tonight, that does not trigger the 3/4 vote.
Okay. Any other questions of Mr. Covington?
I don't have any questions of Mr. Covington, but Mr. Mack, I do have a couple questions. So, the roadway there, and not just speaking on this matter of this property, but that roadway there on Pine Mill where it winds, it is pretty tough. I mean, I often drive down that road and I think, man, that's a wreck waiting to happen. Have we looked into studies to see like what we may be able to do to alter that roadway to make it safer for those that are passing by?
The one thing that is being considered in early discussions with the city engineer would be that if and when Ruby Way is extended, there is currently right-of-way for it right here to this point, that it would come through and create a proper intersection with Pine Mill, and this intersection would then be redesigned depending upon the correct means in which the roadway would intersect with Pine Mill. So that unsafe condition could be corrected by the new street construction.
Got you. And then the other question I have, I know there was, I think another citizen that had mentioned, a lot of watershed in that area. And I may be jumping the gun. I know the next agenda item is similar to this. It's related, but the main thing that I really want to ask is in terms of that watershed. Is that really something that could be an issue there? Have we looked at that with the property developer? How are we looking in that area? Because I know that there is a lot of water that does collect in that region, but I just wanted to check and see if that was a contingency somewhere.
What I can say is that we haven't looked at specific development plans. Each and every time property develops, they are required to engineer that site so that it doesn't increase or contribute further to any issues that may exist. Sometimes the development opportunity creates opportunity for solutions as a part of the new development. But in terms of the current status of the issues out there, I can't speak to that at this time.
Got you.
So, my point, I think Mr. Covington's point was, I think he was talking about Pine Mill Road. Am I correct?
Yes.
The traffic on Pine Mill Road. So that is a concern, and then the more that we grow, it's going to be a growing concern, because I travel that road a lot as well. So,
It's a
just might,
capacity now.
yeah, it might be something that we look into as far as, studies to see, traffic accidents and things like that, just to see if it is a concern. If it's not, it's not. I drive it sometimes, but I don't get all the data, but y'all do. So it might be something that we should look into, because although we can't stop growth, we need to look at the concerns with the growth.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak during the public hearing? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and if there's any other questions or discussion.
The Ruby, that's going to be a collector street running all the way through, correct?
No, that's not correct. It's currently, the right-of-way width on Ruby Way is 50 feet with a standard 28-foot residential street. So there would be no reason to increase the size. Pine Mill is currently pavement that disappears into bar ditches or, just at grade. There's no curb and gutter on it.
Let me rephrase, but Ruby Way will go all the way through to Pine Mill. So you would have two access points to get, you could come around Pine Mill or you could come around Ruby Way, so we might alleviate some traffic.
Correct.
Possibly.
Where Ruby Way comes out is between Paris Orthopedic Clinic and the Nissan dealership there. And you can't get onto the loop from there. You can get off, but you have to go on that little stretch of access road, I suppose is what you'd call it, 34th, which curves around to 34th Northeast. So coming out of that, it can get a little hairy in the mornings.
Well, and you have to yield to get on to 286.
Yes.
Which can be
It's very
pretty
dangerous.
tough.
It's very
That's
dangerous.
a
down there.
terrible.
If I'm not mistaken, this new loop project that we partnered with TxDOT, which they're already taking the turnarounds out, but all that's gonna be high speed, I think. once all that-
Frontage road system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna fix that, in my opinion.
They're going to do away with that concrete that's between 34th and the loop.
I think the whole loop's gonna be high speed once they get, that portion of the loop will be high speed, if I'm not mistaken.
With the frontage road system, so
Yeah.
it'll allow the local traffic to access the frontage road while the loop traffic remains in its own travel lanes, separated from the frontage road.
Yeah.
Much safer improvement, which is why this is one of their first high priority areas for the project.
Okay. Any more discussion? I'll hear a motion.
Make a motion to approve item 17 as written.
I'll second.
A second. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-1. That's my district, so if my constituents are not happy, I'm going to vote with my constituents on that. Item number 18, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance considering the petition of Brian Wintermute on behalf of Evan Butler for a change in zoning from an agricultural District A to a multiple family District Number 2, MF2, in the City of Paris, Block 317, Lot PT of 5, A208 Crow Survey located at 4065 Pine Mill Road, LCAD 126663. Mr. Mack?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This is your second action item on this request. This is the rezoning from ag to MF2 in order to accomplish the higher density residential project. Both the staff and planning commission are recommending approval this evening.
Thank you. I will open the public hearing and ask for anyone who wishes to speak in favor or opposition of this item to please come forward.
I just once again want to reiterate, my name's Mike Covington, 705 40th, that we don't want the multiplexes being built over behind our houses. And like you said a while ago, there is a lot of water offlow coming off of it, and it sometimes floods the backyards over in that area.
Thank you, Mr. Covington. Anyone else wishing to speak? I'll close the public hearing. Is there any discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to know if the city does propose any, I don't know if it's the city's role to do this or if it's the developer's role to do this, but Mr. Covington has a point. That area right there has a horrible water problem. I personally know firsthand that when it rains, the water, you watch it come up into the backyards. And this is something that I know personally has been fought in the legal system. And, you know, the house was sold, the person was reimbursed for all their expenses, but there's going to need to be something done. There's a small ditch that's supposed to take all the water from the fire station, from this particular development that rolls into that small ditch that is very heavily grown up. And I mean, this little area here is very active, as we all know, with lots of multifamily and single-family structures. But like I said, it's been quite a concern for the residents that live in that area for a long time. And I'm just not sure if there's been any thought with regard to the water displacement.
I would like to comment, Mayor, if I may, on that. We are entertaining pre-development on this 40-acre site, as well as what's being proposed in this location. From about this portion of this site, it flows back to the south toward Castlegate. There is no doubt in my mind that when we entertain this development of It's currently zoned for duplex, but my understanding is that they're looking at single-family, possibly duplex in here. There's no doubt in my mind that we will address drainage issues, in particular as it flows to the south. The same would be spoken true of the site that's under consideration right now. I'm not going to say that development is the magic cure-all for what the issue is. I'm not fully apprised on what the drainage issues are out there, but I do know for a fact that these sites will need to address drainage as a part of any development plans, none of which we have had the opportunity to address at this stage. We're at the very early stage of setting the land use.
I mean, any development we're doing currently, we're having to have engineered hydros done anyway, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Smith? Oh, go ahead, Mr. Covington.
Right there toward the end of 40th, there used to be a pool. They tried to fill it in several years ago. Well, it has sunk in, and it still holds water right there, so it's a real wet spot where they're wanting to put the addition also.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith?
Come help Andrew for just a minute. I did get the chance to go out there today with the rain. Still got the mud on my boots. Walk around and look at everything. Andrew's correct. Part of the property does flow to the north. The other property flows to the south. Now, it will be the developer's responsibility to a CFS, which is a cubic feet per second water flow, to make sure that there needed a detention pond or anything else, but we haven't got to that stage of the development yet. So before anything gets done, they will have to do a flow calculation on it.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? I'll hear a motion.
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. No. All right, motion carries 5-1. Item number 19, discuss, conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of Cheney Bryan on behalf of Bill Rettachender. Is that right? Rettachender?
Rettachender, correct.
Okay. For a comprehensive plan amendment from low-density residential, LDR, to medium-density residential, MDR, in the City of Paris, Block 112-C, Lot 7 and 8A, located at 578 Southeast 15th Street, LCAD 15790. Mr. Mack?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This evening, you have a recommendation coming to you from the staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission for approval of this amendment to the comprehensive plan. Again, setting the stage for the rezoning action that will follow. We've discussed a concept with the proposed developer for private drive into this larger site and some duplex construction. This will be 5-5 eligible, and they've indicated interest in executing a 5-5 agreement. Go ahead and take a look at the site. You'll see it's currently undeveloped. It did house a structure here that was demolished. The foundation is still in place for it. Again, the site kind of circles back around behind the structures along 15th, and there's a large area back in here that's basically an undeveloped area that's mowed and maintained by the current property owner. Along the street, we have basically duplexes constructed here. Nice-looking structures that make for decent and affordable housing for the individuals that are residing here. The street, as you can see, is unimproved with curb and gutter. We do have utilities available in the area, and we believe that this will make a worthy infill project, and we believe that the consideration for upgrade from the low-density residential to a medium-density residential makes sense in this location, and are recommending your approval this evening.
All right, thank you. I'll open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak in favor or in opposition of this item to please come forward. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Is there any discussion or questions of Mr. Mack? I have a question. Where the red star is, that's where Mr. Bryan wants to build. And there's no street through there.
That's correct.
How are they going to access? I think you touched on this, but can you show us exactly if he's going to develop a street?
They would roughly bring a driveway in somewhere in this vicinity, and it would come in and circle back into the rear area here where they would, at least this is what they described at the hearing at the P&Z, they would create a hammerhead, a turnaround, and of some sort, and then provide access to the individual residences on a private roadway.
And how wide will that street be?
Would need to meet fire lane requirements of 24 feet in width, plus increased dimensions at the turning, any points of radius for turning.
So first responders would have room to get in there.
Absolutely.
Essentially, they will be seeing people's backyards.
Depends on which way the houses are situated. Some of the ones further north, in my discussions with Mr. Bryan initially was, and his partner, that they may face to the south. And I think, yeah, Katie's here, so if you want some more input. You can help me out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that. Okay, so.
I'll open the public hearing.
Hi, Katie Elliott. My address is 344 County Road 43360 here in Paris. And what Mr. Mack said was correct. So it would be an entrance coming in, and then the property is kind of an L shape. So it would curve in, go along, up to this area, a hammerhead here, and then you could come back out. It's hard to tell here, but this is along the back side of this, and this side, and over here, it's all trees. And so the plan is to try to keep as much of that as possible, just to create privacy between all of the properties. All of this is the housing authority along here, and they have really large backyard spaces in between there and the tree line. So we would try to leave as much of that as possible for privacy. Along these duplexes right here, their backyards currently have a chain link fence that goes from here right across there. If you can follow my mouse, there's a chain link fence there, and we've talked with the developer and thought about maybe doing a privacy fence or something there, just to give some privacy between the two properties, so that there's no light shining into their backyards or windows or whatnot. So that's the plan right now. And then none of the structures would face the street. This is 15th Street here. These are all duplexes along there, but none of the structures would face the street. So you would have this entrance, and the 4 to 5 duplexes would be in this area here.
Okay. And medium density, these are going to be duplexes?
Duplexes, yes, ma'am.
Whose district is this in?
Shouldn't be mine.
Oh.
Or is it yours,
No.
Linda?
It's
Okay,
kind of
yeah,
behind,
Linda.
like adjacent to Kroger, back over there, between Kroger and Culbertson Park.
Okay. All right.
District mixed up.
Any more
What
questions?
order it is, yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition or in favor? I'll close the public hearing. Any discussion? I'll hear a motion.
I move that we approve a minor comprehensive plan amendment amending the FLUM from low-density residential to medium-density residential.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 20, discuss, conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of Cheney Bryan on behalf of Bill Redachender for a change in zoning from a two-family dwelling district 2F to a multifamily dwelling district number 1, MF1, in the City of Paris, Block 112C, Lot 7 and 8A, located at 578 Southeast 15th Street, LCAD 15790. Mr. Mack.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is your action considering the rezoning, setting the stage for the land use permission for the construction of the duplexes. And again, the reason to take it from 2F to multifamily is the allowance of a single lot to have multiple structures permitted on the parcel. And currently 2F will permit the duplexes, but we don't have each one of the duplexes with the ability to front on a public street with the correct lot dimensions. And so hence the multiple structures would remain on the one lot, and this zoning district would permit that. Staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission are in full support and recommend approval of the rezoning this evening.
Thank you. I will open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak in favor or opposition of this item to please come forward.
I will indicate that there was one input received in objection to it, and it stated concerns about utilities. I believe it came from the owner of all the duplexes along the street. So we do have utilities available. Utility improvements for this project will be addressed by the city engineer and the public works director at the time that we go into detailed review of the construction plans for the fire lane and the water and sewer. You can see there's already sewer already to the site, as well as water available in the vicinity.
And you'll require ample parking, hard surface parking and so forth.
Correct, per dwelling unit.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So do we have a plan to address the issues that the resident or whoever it was that Charles complained about? Or have we looked into it? Or had
So the one thing through research is we've determined that this 10-inch cast iron line is shown here, it's actually no longer active. It's been deadened. That information's been conveyed to me by the Public Works Department. In terms of the other concerns along the street here, I'm not able to speak to that, but our Public Works Director may be able to help me out this evening.
Good evening. Along 15th, we have a 2-inch cast iron. It has given us a few problems, not a whole lot. I pulled the work orders to check, and since 2005 till 2015, I've had 5 leaks on it. But in regards to this section, we are not going to be allowing them to tie onto the 2-inch cast iron. There's actually a 10-inch cast that comes down Brain. We're going to make them tie to that and bring that over into the area so we don't pull any more water off that 2-inch. As of right now, I do not have nothing in the works on upgrading that line. I can certainly look at something in the future, but right now we don't have nothing in that area just yet. We did just a couple years ago redo the line that goes around Netherly, but that's about it right now.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any more questions? Seeing no one else, I'll close the public hearing. Discussion? I'll hear a motion
I move that we approve the requested zoning change.
and a second.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 21, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of Kevin Clarkson for a comprehensive plan amendment from low-density residential LDR to medium-density residential MDR in the Gibbons-Braden Addition, Block 5, Lot 4A and 5, located at 1244 Southeast 14th Street, LCAD 11558. Mr. Mack?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. The final land use and zoning action before you this evening is for the subject property shown here on the map. This is a dead-end street, 14th. It dead ends here at the Trail to Paris. It's a fairly quiet neighborhood. It's currently, everything around this in this area is guided for low-density residential, but the actual zoning is not consistent with that per se. The surrounding area is zoned for 2F. And that is the request following the land use request. Actually, this is a single lot that stands out as an individual lot, zone SF3, with everything else around it is zone 2F. So we think that the change to the medium density from the low density residential for the site makes sense and certainly supports the construction of a new duplex as proposed by Mr. Clarkson. Let's go ahead and take a look at the photos for the area. This is the site. I thought maybe we had some water line work done here, but I think it was just some initial efforts to prep the site in hopeful anticipation of the zoning change approval. Along the street, we've got some undeveloped lots. This area will be prime undoubtedly for some higher density. It's a quiet street, and there's a couple of decent homes in the area. Currently, we have one home that's on the orders right now for demolition, so this will be gone, and we've got just the one additional house that's here just south of the subject property. So with that, staff, as well as the Planning Commission, are recommending the approval of the change in the land use amendment from low-density residential to medium-density residential.
Okay. I will open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak in favor or opposition of this item, please come forward. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Any discussion, council? Whose council district is this one in?
Mine or yours, Linda?
You know,
Linda's,
it used to be mine, but since they
Changed,
redrew it, I'm not real familiar with.
I know, it's hard.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I may have misspoke earlier as well, but I'll share with Gary.
Yeah, we'll share.
Okay.
We'll take real good care of them.
I would indicate this is the eligible 5 and 5 area. We've had no discussions with the builder to that effect, but it is an eligible site for it.
Okay. Well, I'll hear a motion.
Motion to pass item 21.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 22, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of Kevin Clarkson for a change in zoning from a one-family dwelling district number 3 to a two-family dwelling district in the Gibbons Braden Addition, Block 5, Lot 4A and 5, located at 1244 Southeast 14th Street, LCAD 11558. Mr. Mack?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This item is for the rezoning, and both staff as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission are recommending approval this evening from SF3 to 2F, again, to create conformity with all the adjoining zoning of those properties.
Okay. I'll now open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against, please come forward. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any discussion? I'll hear a motion.
So moved.
And a second? Second. A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 23, discuss and act on an ordinance canvassing the returns for the special citywide election held November 8th, 2022, for amendments to the city charter of the City of Paris and declaring the results of said election. Staff?
Okay, on November the 8th, an election was conducted to consider 26 amendments to the charter. Of the 26 amendments, 25 were approved by the voters. State law requires a canvass of the election by the governing body, so we're asking that you approve an ordinance canvassing the election tonight.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions? I'll hear a motion.
I move that we approve the ordinance canvassing the returns for the special charter election as requested by state law.
All right, a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 24, discuss and act on an ordinance directing the city attorney to revise the home rule charter of the city of Paris in accordance with Proposition X, approved by voters on November 8th, 2022.
This is our second item on the election. Proposition X, if passed, provides that Section 151 of the charter will be revised and says that the council shall by ordinance authorize the city attorney to edit this charter for the following purposes: to renumber and rearrange all articles, sections, and subsections therein or amendments thereto, to eliminate gender-specific references from various provisions therein and to substitute gender-neutral terms as deemed appropriate, and to eliminate from various provisions therein all references to specific state statutes as appropriate. And as the electorate found that you shall pass this ordinance, I would recommend that you pass this ordinance, authorizing me to make those edits. And I'll bring that back to you with an ordinance to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Any questions?
I have one question. What, we have to, Section 151 has to, language has to be interpreted with regard to gender. What,
and if you read the other revisions, the other amendments that were on the ballot, they took language that said he, for instance, and used he and she.
I got you.
All right. Any other questions? I'll hear a motion.
So moved.
And a second? Second. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 25, discuss and approve the resolution appointing Todd Middage as the city engineer.
All right, I'll start this one here real quick. It's my pleasure to present to you Todd Mitge tonight. As you know, our city engineer position has been vacant since October of 2020, 2 years. It therefore became our task to seek out a candidate to fill that position. We have worked with Hayter Engineering as our interim. Hayter has done an outstanding job with the city of Paris. I commend them for the work they've done. But we are very pleased tonight to bring to you Todd Mitge as our full-time position to fill the position. He is he's currently working for the city of Germantown, Tennessee, so he'll be transitioning from Tennessee to Texas. He has experience with the state of Washington DOT as well as the Muckleshoot Indian tribe and others as well. He's a certified professional engineer in both Washington and Tennessee, and he'll be transitioned to Texas once you approve tonight. Rob, Sandy, and I interviewed him. We're very, very impressed with his character, with his background, with his characteristics, and with his experience. And it's my pleasure to present to you Mr. Mitge tonight as our choice for city engineer for your appointment. And he is here tonight to answer any questions you may have.
Sorry I butchered your name, but we're glad to have you and some of your family here.
Yes, indeed. It's my honor, Madam Mayor, honorable members of council. Any questions you have regarding myself, my background, my son Emmett, I'd be happy to talk with you all about today.
Well,
what part of Tennessee are you in now?
In Germantown, Tennessee, which is right next to Memphis.
Gotcha. Perfect.
In fact, I brought some samples of Memphis barbecue sauce for y'all if you want to take some home.
Hey.
When would be the effective date if approved?
The plan right now, they'll be transitioning from Tennessee, so he has to give notice to his current employer and then the time transition. So we're planning on him early January.
Awesome.
For a start date.
Nice.
Great. Well, Mr. Path has a stellar record of very good hires that he's made in his 2.5 years here, so I don't see any reason why you would be any exception to that. So
I got a question. So is this job description, is it any different than the engineer's job descriptions in the past?
This one, we did update it some. In fact, we're going to update it a little further. As I said in my memo, when we wrote this 2 years ago, when we edited it 2 years ago, we had the airport under the engineer. We're reconsidering that because a lot of things have changed since then. And but one big difference here is when our last engineer, that position was actually overseeing both engineering and what Andrew Mack is doing as Director of Planning and Community Development. So we separated those two positions out. And so we then began seeking a Director of Planning and Community Development and a city engineer. We thankfully found Mr. Mack early on, doing great work for us since then, as we saw tonight. And then it took us a while to find the engineer. So we basically divided the duties out from what our predecessor had.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right. I'll hear a motion
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. And welcome to Paris.
Thank you very much.
And you too, young man. Item number 26, receive a presentation from Rob Vine with regard to outsourcing solid waste.
Mayor, members of council, if you remember back in the summer, the city was experiencing some difficulty with staffing for our solid waste collection, and at that point, city council gave staff direction to look at all options, including outsourcing, and to come back at a later date. Today is that later date. So in June of this summer, solid waste specialist SWS contacted the city, and we started conversations with them about the opportunities to work with them. They presented information, different cities they had worked with. We vetted them, in essence, called these cities and asked. We've received some very, very good reports about the work they do, how they were able to help those cities. So we were able to meet with Mr. Landtrip in October. Mayor Pro Tem met with us as well, and we learned a little bit more about their business, what they do, how they could possibly help our city. So we've asked him, Mr. Landtrip, to come back January 23rd to the city council meeting and present his presentation of what their company could do for our city. So that is our update. That's where we are. And at that point, they'll bring all the information. We'll be able to interact with them, ask them information, how you can, or ask them questions, how they can specifically work with this, with the city of Paris. So that's what this is, just a simple update where we are and how we're moving forward.
And with this, we assume that the council still would like to consider outsourcing. I see one thumbs up, and so, yeah, so we, if you were to determine otherwise, we would cancel that and continue as is, but unless we hear otherwise tonight, we will bring them back in January, so you can at least hear a presentation and decide at that time whether you do wish to outsource or not. So you don't have to decide tonight to outsource. You wait till then, but if there's outsourcing is no longer an option, then we'd like to hear that tonight if possible.
I would very much like to continue the exploration of this.
And not to jump ahead of the gun here, but obviously utility cost is rising. And so I would love to understand a little bit more of how much that cost would be if we were to go off that plan, because that's something pretty intense to look at, and especially if people hate that, hey, we've gone from 2 to 1, and looking at the price range there compared to what we would go to in the future. So I just want to make sure everything's kind of on the table, that we understand what we're looking at, and go from there.
Absolutely.
Would we go out for bids, and different companies could bid on?
Yes, ma'am. They would help us. Actually, they would take care of the whole RFP process from start to finish.
Right.
With our input.
I know in part of the bid could be that whatever they bid, the winning bid could not be raised rates for 2 years or something. I mean, we'd have a little bit of control over it that way.
I was going to ask you, what's the normal contract length on a sanitation contract with the city? Is that a 24-month deal or a 60 or?
I have seen longer than that. This is not a process you want to go through every couple of years. It is a major undertaking for the entire community. So I've seen more like 5 to 10 years or longer. But with that, we will learn more about that from Mr. Landtrip, and he will advise us what we may need to do in order to entice a good contractor into town.
I'm curious about the sanitation department. If we did outsource it, what would happen to our employees? Would they just be reassigned a different place in the city, or?
I think there would be an opportunity, and we've talked about this, there would be definitely an opportunity to absorb them in other areas within Public Works. Several of the other departments are short-staffed, so there would be an opportunity to make that move.
Yeah, we would not let go anyone. There's about 9 employees, positions. Obviously, they can go with the company. That could be an option, or they can stay with us. And we currently have need for other positions. So, but those are all things we have to iron out and figure out if we go that process.
Okay.
Because we have equipment we'd have to address. We have existing trucks. There's a lot of things to be ironed out and figured out.
What did we figure on trash right now? Cost over revenue. I think our revenue was quite a bit less than our cost, so we were subsidizing a little bit on the trash. Is that correct?
Actually, the total revenue is a little more than expense currently. We've not raised rates, as you know, for a number of years, and so the sanitation is still somewhat subsidizing the general fund currently, but we've been eating into that subsidy the last several years. I don't remember the exact subsidy right now off the top of my head, but we still make a little bit more than expense currently. But as we discussed during the summer, we were unable to bring on the revenue right now is just enough to handle 9 full-time employees and without changes, but we couldn't do 18 positions. So there's more to discuss about that, but
Any other questions? Thank you for your work on that, Mr. Vine and Mr. Path. Item number 27, discuss and act on an agreement with DCC Inc. for refurbishment and resurfacing of the city pool and patio deck, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents.
Mayor and council, the pool, as you've read, is in much need of some repairs. The plaster, we believe, is the original plaster from 1996 when the pool was open, so it's about 26 years old. It normally lasts 10 to 15 years, so we got some extra years out of this plaster. The cool deck, which we're looking to replace as well, it lasts approximately 8 to 10 years. And it's about 9 years old, but it has some significant cracking and definitely needs some attention. We were able to go out and find DCC Inc., which is a buy-board vendor, so we were able to skip the procurement step. The total cost for this project is $228,136.92. If pushed onto the future, we've heard from the vendor, and staff has looked into this as well. The cost of these repairs will rise significantly after December because the cost of the materials, like anything else in construction, is jumping up dramatically. So staff has drafted an agreement with the help of city attorney with DCC Inc. and worked out the details, and we recommend that we move forward with awarding this. I'm sorry, and the last thing is this will come out of ARPA funds. This will not come out of the general funds. City manager has bookmarked that money from the American Rescue Plan Act. And we're recommending that the agreement be given to the company, the DCC, and the city manager be authorized to sign.
Any questions?
I just had something to state on this. I really appreciate this this move because, you know, we often hear from our citizens say, hey, listen, we need more things to do. We need more things to lure folks in. And as we see the rise in the need of housing and more attractions to our community, this is huge. So I really do appreciate this narrative being pushed to get this pool up and ready for the future. When would be the anticipated date of completion if this were executed?
It would be before opening in May of next year.
Okay, that's right. Okay.
A lot of that would be determined on the weather as well.
Boy, that's pretty ambitious.
Yes.
I got you. I was just curious because we did a pool, man, prices have doubled, I will say. We did a pool pre-COVID, and then we're quoting a pool now, and it's unbelievable. So this is definitely one of those things that I would not kick the bucket down the road, but I'm fully in favor of this agenda item.
We almost lost a swim meet last summer because some of the equipment was down, and those swim meets, they put heads in beds. All right. I'll hear a motion.
I move that we approve the authorization of the agreement with DCC Inc. For the refurbishment and resurfacing of the city pool and the patio deck for $228,136.92.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Vine. Item number 28, discuss and act on a lease agreement for the Event Center between the City of Paris and Samantha Hughes, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents. Mr. Path?
Mayor, members of the council, as you recall, a little history here. The city approved a lease agreement with Samantha Hughes, representing Supreme Mall and Corporate back in July of 2019. The terms of that lease were rent for $1,200 per month, 3 years, which ended July 31st, 2022. We did do an auto renewal for that. Use and maintain for meal services and other related activities, including preparing, packaging, and serving food. And tenant is responsible for maintenance of facility, although that has been debatable in the language we have currently. Ms. Hughes is, as I said, the primary tenant, the only tenant. She uses the kitchen facility to service the Boys and Girls Club, except for in summer months, as we learned back in July, back in June, the schools provide meals during that time period. Speaking with the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club, the service she provides is very valuable to their needs there at Boys and Girls Club. Back in June of this last year, the council agreed to waive Ms. Hughes' rent through the summer due to the Boys and Girls Club receiving a meal from the schools. The way their ultimate funding comes through, it says they only can receive food from one source per day, not two sources, and so she was forced to bow out so the schools can continue that. So the city council did authorize a waiver of her rent during the summer months. And also in the same time, the discussion was held about renegotiating the lease and in order to give her more access to the entire building. There have been some discussions, probably some misunderstandings in the past about whether she could or could not use the entire building. The lease itself currently is a little bit confusing on that. And so we've had a lot of discussions with that. And so the city council asked us to negotiate or renegotiate the lease or write a new lease with that. So with that, as of today, since that time, Ms. Hughes and I and the staff worked together to re-examine that. Ms. Hughes, she initially gave us what we call in the building code as assembly type uses. She was looking at adult training classes, educational programs, youth activities. Again, that falls under the assembly type usage for our building, which under our building codes. Now, with that, we went into an investigation of the building's code status. We found that in order to bring the building to an assembly type usage compliancy, someone, whether it's us or Ms. Hughes, would have to spend over $100,000 in fire suppression, fire alarm systems, and ADA parking upgrades. And so there'd be a considerable expense to someone, if not both parties, to bring the building up so that she can actually use it for those uses. Now, along the way, we also determined that there are numerous minor maintenance items that we need to do for the building, electrical items, HVAC repairs, some upgrades to the restrooms. As a city manager, since we own that building as a city, I've already instituted those repairs. It is our building, just to be in order to extend the longevity of the building. So those have been minor items. I've got staff who are tasked with those. We've already repaired the HVAC system, the electrical system. When we have contractors lined up for the plumbing, the restroom upgrades, and then we're also, because of lots of vandalism in the parking lot, we continue to have glass doors broken out as people do donuts in the parking lot. So I'm tired of that, so I'm putting metal doors in the building. And so we've replaced those doors several times since I've been here. So we're putting metal doors in the building so they won't break again. So with that, given the cost in order to upgrade to an assembly type, I approached Ms. Hughes about this, and we've agreed to present to you tonight a different path for the lease. Basically, in a nutshell, instead of utilizing the entire building we would be leasing out parts of the building. She would continue to use the kitchen, of course. That's her primary need for the building, was the kitchen. That's what she needs for her state funding, was that type of level of kitchen. She would also be continue to allow to use the office, as well as the northwest restrooms. We chose those ones because they're smaller and they're cheaper to upgrade. So we're using those, as well as of course, the utility closets as well. The rest of the building would no longer be under the lease. It'd fall back to us. Looking at this, we did approach a local realtor to find out a market value for the building itself. What does a building like this go for in the market? This realtor gave us back a monthly rent of $6,500 to $8,900 per month. It's the going rate for a building of this size and type in the city. So with that, I just did some quick math, just did some ratios, and given the entire square footage of the building versus what she'd be leasing out, I did a ratio of that, and so we came to an agreement on $800 per month rent, which, again, she's only renting part of the building, not the entire building at this point. She's also requested to utilize the office for her seasonal tax preparation services. She does do a tax business, and so she's requested to utilize the office for that during the tax season as well. So that is included in this draft lease tonight for you to consider. Other items we've changed in here, again, we've reduced the rented space for the entire building down to the kitchen, office, bathrooms in the northwest corner, and the utility closet. The city will take on maintenance of the building and parking lot. The lease will be extended to 2025 with options to 2027. We will issue a conditional CO, which limits the occupancy to 10 people or fewer. That way we will not have issues with assembly-type purposes. Again, we've identified in the lease that we will do the maintenance that we've already identified, and which was already underway. Tenant would be responsible for basic cleaning and maintenance of the leased spaces. Tenant shall operate a food preparation service with a kitchen and be allowed to operate a tax service. And tenant shall also pay all utilities for the building. We are unable to separate out main hall versus office or a kitchen, and so we've agreed that since we're taking on the maintenance and reducing the rent, she would continue to pay the utilities for the entire building. The rest of the lease is the same as the original lease, basic language for termination and so forth, and default and other basic language you would see in a lease. So with that, Ms. Hughes has agreed to this. Obviously, she's not signed yet until you've had a chance to see this, but she's agreed to these terms. And I'll turn over to you if you have any questions or thoughts or concerns, any edits that you'd like to see, any more negotiation you'd like to see, or so forth. But otherwise, I think between city management and Ms. Hughes, we've come to an agreement. We're seeking your blessing or your guidance from this point forward.
Questions of Mr. Path? All right, I will hear a motion.
I've got one.
Okay.
The tax room that you're talking about, is it included in that 11.5% of the building that she's using?
Yes, it's part of the office, and the office is included at 11%, yes.
Okay, yeah, so, and then she had, like you said, you couldn't separate the electricity, so she's got to pay for the cooling and heating of that building herself, yeah. And so, just from looking at it, I know y'all recommended $800 a month, but who cleans the rest of the building, the 89% of the building that she doesn't use? Who cleans that?
Well, the city is responsible for that rest of the building, so it would fall to us to take care of any significant cleaning that ever has to happen. I don't see there being a major need. It's not going to be a weekly thing we're going to do. I don't see that being a need.
Yeah, my point to that is that I don't know how you would address this, but maybe if she just took care of that, just minor things, because dust, things collect and all that. If she just took care of minor things and we gave her the lower end of the, what was it, 690 instead of 800, you said, I think the building was pushed to range between 690 and 950, and you recommended 800 in the middle. But what if we did the lower range and just told her to maintain cleaning?
the true cost is in maintaining the building, HVAC, electrical, which we're agreeing to take on. And so technically that's her responsibility now, but we've been doing it. And so.
So that's part of the trade-off?
That's part of the trade-off, yes.
Okay.
And so
All right.
that's why I recommended a little higher end there, because we are taking that on just full, that's ours now. So, and there's not much, I mean, the rest of the rooms there are open spaces, so there's not a lot of dust, not all the things have had dust collect on. But I feel that we should recoup some revenue in order to afford the future maintenance of the building.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right. I'll hear a motion if there's no further discussion.
I make the motion that we approve item 28 as written.
And a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 29, discuss and act on an ordinance setting forth registration requirements and credit extension guidelines for credit access businesses by adding Article 5.12, Credit Access Businesses, to Chapter 5, Business Regulations of the City of Paris Code of Ordinances. Mr. Path?
Mayor, members of the City Council, at your October 10th council meeting, you heard presentations from Texas Appleseed as well as United Way regarding credit access businesses, aka payday loan entities, and the abusive and predatory lending practices that sometimes occurs in these entities. Again, we will not say it always occurs, but it does occur, and there is evidence of that. So from this presentation, the City Council directed staff to bring back to you a proposed ordinance for your consideration. And tonight, we're proposing here at least a two-step process, so I'll go through step one here tonight. Working with Texas Appleseed, we obtained a copy of a CAB ordinance produced by the Texas Municipal League, TML. They created about 10 years ago. In addition to that, we also reviewed the City of Reno's recently passed ordinance. Reno chose to go the direction of mirroring City of Austin and Dallas, their ordinances. But however, that ordinance is under litigation currently with the City of Austin, so we do not recommend that we adopt that version of the ordinance. And if it survives or gets through litigation, we can then revisit at that time. But the TML ordinance has been tested in court. And so this does not mean we could never ever get sued, but at least we know going in that should we pass an ordinance similar to the TML, we know it's been through court already. So with this, Mayor Portugal, Mayor Pro Tem Hughes, myself, Ms. Harris, and Mr. Vine, we reviewed the TML ordinance, and after making a few slight adjustments and modifications to the version that they presented, we have for you tonight an ordinance. We're not recommending approval tonight. What we would recommend is that, given we would be adding regulations to existing businesses, we recommend that we do a hearing on this to give those businesses a chance to come and speak their concerns, their thoughts about the ordinance. So with that, we'll go through this tonight, the ordinance tonight, but then either at the December 12th or a January council meeting, we would then have a hearing giving these businesses the chance to come and express their concerns or thoughts and go from there. That may lead you to further direction, or you may approve at that time, or so forth. But in the ordinance you have in front of you, just to summarize the sections here, I'm not going to go through each section, but the key sections to talk about, if you look at my agenda memo, or you can look at the ordinance, item number 3, which is section 5.12.003 is the penalties for violating this ordinance. It'd be $500 per offense per day. That does not apply to the consumer. So anyone who goes to seek an advance of credit, they will not be penalized for violation of this ordinance. Section 5.12.005 to 5.12.007. This is the first of 5 regulations that we would be applying to the businesses. This is simply a registration process. This is you submit an application with your name, address, your state license or certificate, and so forth, and then that is a business registration process. Section 5.12.008 is the appeal process. Should, for whatever reason, a certificate or registration be denied, we've identified the City Council as the appeal board. Given I as the manager am tasked with enforcing this ordinance, it makes sense to have a higher entity than me hear the appeals instead of me hearing appeals that I just decided. 5.12.009. These certificates expire after 1 year, so it'd be a 1 year, it'd be an annual renewal process. 5.12.011, this is, I call regulation number 2. Basically, every cab must maintain records of their transactions for 3 years. 5.12.012, regulation number 3. This is more the meat of the ordinance. This is actually more of why Texas Appleseed and TML draft these ordinances. This is regulations on the extension of credit that they may apply, and the limitations being 20% of the consumer's gross monthly income for a motor vehicle, 3% of the consumer's gross annual income, or 70% of the vehicle retail value, trying to prevent vehicles from being repoed. This is how people get to work. And so we want to try to prevent situations where they get repoed and repossessed. Regulation number 3 here under 12 is when repayment is designated with using installments or payments is limited to 4 installments, which with each payment paying back 25% of the principal. Again, the whole point of this ordinance is we cannot regulate the fees, we cannot regulate the interest, but we can try to give people an out within a reasonable time period. A lot of the testimonials are people end up in years and years and years of cycles of debt and never be able to get out. This is meant to get you out in 4 payments. And again, this does not regulate the fees or the or the interest. We cannot regulate that part of it at this point. And so, but we can at least regulate say that every payment, 25% has to go toward the principal. And then lastly here, when repayment is designated as a lump sum instead of multiple payments, we limit to 3 renewals of the refinancing. Again, 25% of the principal being paid each time. Section 5.12.013, regulation number 4, as I have designated it, all consumers must understand the agreement they are signing with the cab. Therefore, they must use language that the person understands. Then section 5.12.014, regulation number 5, as I designated here, all consumers must be provided a sheet with financial counseling options. There are entities in the state that do provide educational resources, so if you do need help getting out of debt or how to manage your checkbook, there are resources out there, free resources out there that you can utilize. So it would be mandatory that these entities provide a sheet which we will provide to them that says these are who you can talk to or contact if you need help getting out of debt, need help with more advice, counseling, and so forth. So that would be a requirement as well. So with this, our recommendation tonight is to discuss this ordinance. We would welcome any input, any thoughts, guidance, edits you would have tonight. Assuming based on how that goes, we would then either finalize it in a draft form, and then we would do a public hearing either in December or January. We would then we would give notice to these known businesses directly so that they see this and encourage them to come at that meeting to provide thoughts or input, or they can come and see me and staff before then. So with that, I open up to any thoughts, questions, concerns, edits, anything you have.
Kind of a refresher of when we had this discussion with United Way and Texas Appleseed. None of these businesses are locally owned. Most are even out-of-state owned. Most do not employ more than 2 or 3 people. We're not trying to put them out of business, but it's to protect the people that feel like they don't have any place else to go for a loan. But that will still leave a number of our locally owned loan businesses that don't charge 600%. Atrocities like that. Any questions or observation for the staff?
Will this be advertised for all citizens in a particular area, maybe on the website or anything like that?
Well, we would do a standard public hearing notice. We do plan to give the cabs a direct notice. Obviously, this is regulating them particularly, so I feel it's appropriate and fair that we give the businesses a direct notice of this public hearing. We put it on our website. We can consider all options too, as well, to put more word out there.
Questions or comments?
Well, this is very thorough, I think. Nice job, very thorough, very thoughtful, and I think it's well needed. It's initiating a conversation about alternatives that hopefully some folks will take advantage of.
Okay. Staff, is that the direction you need?
I do, yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item number 30, reconsider, discuss, and possibly act on the refinement of the City of Paris's policy on the demolition of homes as related to the 5 and 5 Neighborhood Revitalization Program. Councilmember Savage requested that the council reconsider this item, so I'll turn this over to him.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I had this added back to the agenda. It's from our previous meeting where we passed to put demoed houses as a priority in the 5 and 5, if I'm saying that right. And just want to say that I have talked to Councilwoman Knox about this a couple of times, and in no way are we not working together on this. It's just that we have a difference in opinion, just like the whole city has a difference in opinion. You can see that from the elections that we just had. But I wanted to put back on here just to discuss it a little more. So I just want to go into detail just a little bit. 5 and 5, we all came together, made incentives for the 5 and 5. We all thought they were really good to incentivize people to build homes in this city, which we do need homes. You know, we need doors. So we came up with incentives. So now, to me, it's just my opinion, when we prioritize the 5 and 5 program as far as demoed houses, then it's like, to me, it's like we're leapfrogging, because when you prioritize something, then you're skipping over somebody else. And as we saw in one of the agenda items that we just discussed, there was a house that probably needs to be demoed in an area that qualified for 5 and 5. Well, the citizens who already live there probably think, like, I've already invested in this neighborhood and the house is still sitting here, so when 5 and 5 come, you want to tear it down, when it should have been torn down already, just because I'm an investor as well. Because, you know, when we say investors, normally we think about people who are putting buildings or housing projects together. But everybody in this community is an investor. If you have paid $100,000 to $200,000 for a home in this community, you are an investor in this community. And even if you rent and pay $1,000 to $1,500 for rent in this community, you are investing in this community. So we're all investors, if you want to say investors. So I don't think the 5 and 5 investors should get priority over our regular investors. I think if the house needs to be tore down in this community, then we just need to tear the house down whenever we get the opportunity. And, you know, one of the concerns about the houses, and I think it was brought up in last meeting, that, you know, safety. You know, sometimes we have indigent people living in these houses, and we do the best we can to get them out, but it happens. So you have older people that live in these communities that you think about their safety as they're walking their dogs, or kids playing or whatever. But that doesn't just happen in new investment, you know, with new investments, new buildings, new structures. It's happening in all of our communities that have, you know, houses that need to be torn down. So with, you know, when I weighed all of that stuff, and you know, I was pretty much against it last meeting, but I went ahead and voted for it. But after I thought more about it, I said, you know, the citizens all over this community deserve that priority. They deserve that safety, or whatever, any reason that you can come up with to make 5 and 5 a priority. You can come up with that same reasoning in just for local residents. You know, I mentioned that in front of my church there was one, and it got tore down that week. So I just wanted to open it up for discussion again. So with that being said, I'll open it up to anyone else that might have an opinion.
You want me to restate my opinion?
Nobody want to say anything?
As Mr. Savage alluded to, we have talked about this a couple times on the phone. And he was very gracious when he called me and told me that he was struggling with it. And I knew he was, because at the council meeting. And, but, you know, he still struggles with it. And we have agreed to disagree about our view on this. Our city's just, it's disintegrating. It's disintegrating right before our eyes. And, you know, I thought this 5 and 5 program was very unique, out of the box thinking kind of thing. And I still do. I just think that I don't know. We got to do something. We got to do something drastic, and I thought this would be something that would support the 5 and 5 program and kind of help get our community cleaned up. We did get to see a list of houses, the list that the properties are on. Not all of them are on there. I thought that was quite interesting. I looked down the list and could not find both of these particular houses that initiated this conversation were not on that list. I was told they were on the list. They'll be torn down. They're on the list. Well, no, they're not. One of them is, but the other one isn't. So I don't know. I'm in a quandary. I still support anything to get our neighborhoods from rotting turned around. And this may seem drastic, but so is rotting our neighborhoods. We're spending a lot of money developing downtown and developing neighborhoods and things, and it's almost as if the rot is taking over and moving faster than our developing is. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. And if anybody can help me, I would certainly appreciate it. But Mr. Savage and I did speak about getting together and working on creative ways to not kill this, but also work on trying to get more houses torn down. And the people that have concerns that are, quote, before the homes that are going to be developed in neighborhoods that are going to be developed. We talked about that and hoping that we could come up with a solution without killing something else. I don't know if that can be done. I just don't know.
Now, let me just clarify my opinion on that. I do want to kill this motion, or this, not a motion, but whatever you want to call the ruling that we voted on, policy that we voted on last week. I do want to kill it, but I do want to work with you and the staff and see if we could develop a way to go about it where it's fair to everybody, because we're talking about new, and it's the same thing with bringing industry in. We talk about new, but I'm big on retention of what we do have. So the neighborhoods, and I agree that something needs to be done, but not only with the new, but with the neighborhoods that we already have, the people who are already investing a couple $100,000 in houses. So that we need to help them as well. And these people who already have houses, everybody on this council, we have homes as well. There's no incentives for us. There's no incentive. So I think the incentive, as far as tearing down dilapidated houses, burned houses, the incentive needs to go to us. The priority needs to go to us, not priority to new structures. I think it needs to be a fair and balanced process and not a priority process. I don't think any neighborhood should get priority over others. We do have priority. We have burned structures that's already listed, and then on major thoroughfares. They are already the priority. But I think as far as anything else, it should just be a fair process. We should see a list. I think y'all are working on a more updated list for us to be able to look at and examine. So hopefully when we get that, we'll see that. But I just don't think it needs 5 and 5. We've already incentivized it really good. So I don't think we need to make it a priority as far as tearing down structures for the 5 and 5 project. I think we need to leave it the way it is and just make sure we're getting it done.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Mack, about the 5 and 5? How many current 5 and 5 projects are in the works where they're actually clearing the property and starting to build?
I'm not prepared with the total number, but, roughly a half dozen we've already approved. I've got, I have at least another 2 or 3 ready to move forward as soon as they decide to move forward. One of the things, again, that affects the ability to move forward is the ability to obtain title insurance. And then there is a waiting period from the title companies on foreclosure properties. And so That's why part of this is not a quick fix. It's as we discussed early when adopted, it's more of a long-term commitment to upgrading the community. Mayor, if I could, Councilmember Savage, Councilmember Knox, wanted to do two things, is give you...
Can I finish my thought before
sure.
you address that? Is it fair to say 6 to 10, 5 and 5 currently? And we know it's long-term, but...
5 or 6.
But 5 or 6, okay. But my point is, does every one of those in their block where those projects are going to be, do they have homes that need to, or structures that need to be demolished?
Some do, some don't.
Some do and some don't. So I don't think we're looking, Mr. Savage, at a huge number that would leapfrog over, if that makes sense. And the other part of our concern is the lack of speed with which structures are being demolished. And I think, I can't speak for the whole council, but I know there's a lot of frustration over that, especially when we see the list and there are structures from 2018 that still have not been demolished. But maybe we need a better way to prioritize. And if you're, say, in a month, I would hope you're demolishing 8 or 10 with the added budget we've given, with the added equipment that code enforcement has, as well as communicating better with Sanitation Solutions, that when they are sent 4 or 5 properties, we want that done as quickly as possible. Then I don't feel like it's going to have that much impact on structures that we will leapfrog over.
Well, let me just say this straight. So as in one of the items that we just discussed, so if I'm living in a neighborhood and this house has been here for 2 or 3 years, sitting here needing to be tore down, and then when somebody comes up with new construction, you come tear this house down because of new construction, I don't see how you could not say that that's not leapfrogging. That's a priority. You're saying my neighborhood is not good enough, but then when somebody decides to build something new, then you tear this house down, not because we live here, not because we've complained, and code enforcement, all the complaints they get are from existing residents, not new people coming in building. They get them from existing residents who are already paying taxes. This 5 and 5, you get tax-free for 5 years, but I'm paying taxes right now, every day. I'm getting my water bill raised every day. So, every time. So now I have to sit here and wait, and you won't tear the house down when I complain, but then you tear it down when somebody builds a new structure. I don't see how you could say that that is right. That is not right. That is not fair, because it happens. And I just don't think, we have citizens that call us all the time and say, well, I don't have a voice in the city. There's no use in me coming up there complaining. When we have planning and zoning meetings, there's no use in me saying anything, because they're going to get what they want to get. Well, that's what things like this make that happen. They make people say things like this. So we have to be concerned about the regular citizens, not just the people who are building structures. So if the houses need to be tore down, they need to be tore down anyway, not because 5 and 5 is coming in, not because some new project is coming in. It's because it needs to be tore down. So that's why I'm saying it does not need to be a priority. It just the stuff needs to be tore down. All of our citizens should be a priority, not just 5 and 5 or new projects. That's what I'm saying about this.
One comment I would like to make on the rate of the demolition. Mm-hmm. Based on the changes that have been made, we've been roughly budgeted and outsourcing for anywhere from 10 to 12 homes a year. We believe under the new procedures, we have the new equipment now. Optimistically, we're hopeful we can get half the list knocked off in the coming year, so upwards of 50, maybe as many as 5 times a year, as many houses. My code abatement crew has outstanding ability to really work hard, and what we're probably doing is prioritizing some of that work over other, things like some mowing. We've got more contract mowers, so we're able to outsource some more of that we had good success with this year. It may allow us to prioritize the demolition over cleaning up of yards, for example, possibly. So I think the rate of speed will definitely pick up this year in discussion with my code supervisor on that. Secondly, I want to indicate that I've now completed with my code supervisor review of 3/4 of the entire community. We've been looking at the community by quadrants. I had an opportunity on the last go-around to bring Mayor Pro Tem Hughes out with us to understand better the criteria that we're applying. We've actually done a better job now of creating a column, creating a map that goes along with this that shows the 3 priorities we've already established, but we actually added a 4th priority as a part of this process, and that's at looking at structures that are actually dangerous. They're in risk of falling down or affecting neighboring properties or the public in general as an attractive nuisance. And so we added that 4th category as well. We created a medium category for any structures that are not secured, but are maybe in a low priority, that don't meet the other high priority areas, but they're unsecured, so that we created that as a medium priority, and then the low priority would be those that are secured but not necessarily rising to the occasion of the high priority. So that's what we're trying to do. We think we're going to get to the list faster than we have in the past. Secondly, I want to comment on the policy with regard to upgrade of existing structures, which the 5 and 5 program is not intended to address. From the outset, we said that this would be to encourage infill, redevelopment, and replacement of demolished structures, and we think we're going to have long-term success there. But on the current policy that the council has adopted roughly 2 years ago, updated, we do have a policy in place that says that if you are going to upgrade an existing home and you improve 50% or greater of the value, that is an eligible tax abatement. And we do produce that incentive. Now, that's a higher bar to reach for 50%. It is for existing structures, it is for single-family homes. So we do currently have that in place. If there is that interest in that citizen that is already investing in our community and they want to pursue that, they need to contact me in my office and we'll get them started right away.
I think there's some misunderstanding. I'm wondering what you're talking about the existing structures.
We do. It's an adopted policy by the city council. It applies citywide, not just in the...
we're not talking about that today. That's not what we're talking about. I'm wondering if somebody brought that up for you to address that.
I thought I heard you talking about the existing
people that live in existing communities. Their communities. I wasn't talking about getting anything for their structures. I was talking about tearing down the houses in their community, not just we're 5 and 5, making 5 and 5 a priority. That's what I was talking about. It wasn't about getting anything for their existing structures. That wasn't the conversation.
My apologies. I misunderstood that.
I have a question. Well, when we did 5 on 5, whenever you put the map together, y'all did the study on it and everything, what was the map developed? What were the basis of the 5 on 5 map, that area where 5 on 5 lots were within that vicinity?
It took in the majority of the eligible tax foreclosure parcels based upon the initial map of 300 that were identified on that map. And so the boundaries are roughly 50 blocks wide from about 20th East over to somewhere just shy of 30th Street West, and then it's about 40 blocks north and south. And it picks up the majority of those eligible tax parcels.
And so those are the parcels that were brought back by the city because of delinquent taxes.
They're currently eligible. They have not gone tax forfeit through the process yet. We're using that list of inventory for interested parties to pursue the 5 and 5 to put that on a pre-application list, of which we've got in the neighborhood of about 150 right now out of the initial 300 list, so just about half.
What was the original, remind me on the original vision of the 5 on 5, the vision was to revitalize, from what I remember, to promote new construction or revitalization of dilapidated communities or dilapidated neighborhoods that are in need of pretty disrepair, right?
And again, as an effort to help replace some of the housing stock and housing units that were eliminated through demolition of nearly 1,000 homes over 2 decades. Also, where we have existing infrastructure, streets, water, sewer facilities already in place to serve new construction without expense of adding new extensions.
Remind me on which area that was exactly, kind of the map over there. Remind me which district majority of the 5-on-5 qualifies in.
We can actually just bring the map up quickly here. By the way, our GIS department's done an outstanding job putting this together for us. So the turquoise is the established boundary. Every one of these dots in here represents an eligible tax foreclosure parcel that's shaded reddish or orangish. And again, this is the list that we're using to prioritize the tax foreclosure sales. Again, every parcel that's inside this boundary that's not shaded, that's not necessarily eligible for tax foreclosure, is privately owned, currently paying taxes, is also eligible. Our partners at the county have decided that their participation with us in the 5-and-5 for tax abatement will only apply to the tax foreclosure parcels, though.
So when we put this together, the idea was we were going to go to the more delinquent areas of town to try to revitalize and put together new construction, also to get a lot of the demolition stuff where it would be a little more fast-paced and we would get a lot of more tax incentive up front, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm with Ms. Knox. I get Mr. Savage's argument, and he, you know, I live in my neighborhood's got probably half a dozen or more, but there's a lot more stuff that's been in there that's been bought and redone, and people are moving back in. So if I can tell you from my constituent standpoint, we want to see this area of town, 5-on-5 area that was put together by the city staff, and I see the vision, and I think that's the way it, you know, is it going to take a few demos out from some other areas of town that might could have? Yes, probably a few. Is it going to be enough to change the scale? I don't think so. So I would vote in favor of Ms. Knox and put that third scale in there for the 5-on-5 being the third choice.
Any other questions or comments?
I do have a quick question. I'm sorry, I'm not as well versed in building and standards and demo and all that. What would, can you, in a dumbed down version, can you explain to me what would constitute a property or a home to be put on the demo list? I'm just curious.
Councilmember Savage is correct. We do get complaints from citizens that live in the neighborhood. We also canvass properties as we go through our routine enforcement actions, looking for other types of complaints. Our code enforcement officers bring those properties to the attention of the code enforcement supervisor, who is our staff member that basically staffs the Building Standards Commission. There are certain criteria that he will look for that he routinely goes over with the Building Standards Commission, sinking or settling foundations coupled with collapsing roofs, vacant structures that are unsecured, open doors, broken windows. Certainly we get out on every fire call. We look at that immediately after. We're increasing the priority to bring those quicker to BSC for demolition orders at that time. We continue to work with citizens that own the properties where we can still reach them. In some cases, we never can. And so I guess those would be some of the criteria, would be, classifying it as a dangerous structure or completely unsightly as a result of fire.
So are these owned properties, or are they just, are they abandoned, or?
Both.
I guess that's where my question
it's
comes
both.
in, because, I think when we talk about pride and we talk about, hey, where does the responsibility lie in some of these properties, right? At the end of the day, how I look at it is, look, if I've got a piece of property, I've got to take care of that. Now, for whatever reason, I know that throughout lineage and throughout, ancestry, people pass down their property, or their family might not even know that they own that property due to death or what have you. So I get that. But I almost would love to see something where we can maybe meet in the middle here. And again, I don't know if this collides with 5 and 5, or if this collides in the other opportunity that you're talking about with existing buildings to renovate up to, what I think you said 50% or more. Is that correct? So let's just say if we were to find another leg in this opportunity for 5 and 5, or let's just say an offshoot of another opportunity for 5 and 5, it could be named something else. But if there's an existing building, an existing home that is on the demo list, and if someone wanted to take that demo on themselves, buy that property, and within a time period put a home up there, would that be something that we could look into as a council? And maybe it could be a dynamic process, because obviously we've budgeted more. We've put in more time and effort in equipment and bodies to help kind of chop down that list. Obviously it's going to grow, but you're also, taking away those homes and mission accomplished, great. But if you have a program that someone says, you know what, this is a great piece of property, but my gosh, there's a safety hazard here, right? There's absolutely a hazard with this dilapidated building or this abandoned home. Is there something that we can do to incentivize people to go and purchase these demoed lots, or to these potentially lots to be demoed and build a new structure, or rehab that? Is there something that we have in the works for that, or do we have something on the table for that?
We do occasionally work with interested parties that do that, but feedback I got through this process from out of town, another community to our south, they were trying to incentivize, but encouraging the builders to want to come in, get the lot for free or $1 like we're doing, but then ask them to be responsible for the demolition.
Exactly, my
And,
point.
and,
Exactly.
and that turned them off. That was a liability they viewed in their perspective to offset the other incentives. So obviously, the city of Paris has been very proactive in its demolition and putting, tax dollars behind trying to improve the community and make it safer. And so that's why this program seemed to work. So the answer is yes, it would be great. And yes, if they wanted to fix it up instead of demolish it, great. Normally, when BSC puts orders on it, it's pretty well beyond the stage of any hope.
I got you.
And due to some poor construction practices in the past in the community, that's why they're dilapidating and foundations settling and so forth.
Thank you.
While it may be challenging to get developers to tear down houses, the city council has on a few occasions forgiven liens on properties. We've done that, I know since I've been here a few times, that people who have come and bought properties after we've tore it down, put a lien, and the council has agreed to waive some of those expenses on a few occasions. We don't want to just hand that out left and right. We want to make sure that it's worth it, but that is an option the council has available to it from time to time. But typically that's after we've already torn it down ourselves.
What I'm honestly hoping we can do is come back sometime once we complete the analysis of the entire community, be able to show you a list, show you the map, identify, what percentage are high priorities, what are mediums, what are lows, take you again through the rationale, talk you through more specifics as to how we get these, on the BSC list in the first place. So that's my intent, is to come back, if not in December, sometime after the first of the year, and bring that back as a presentation for you.
Yeah, I'd like to see that list. I'd be interested in it because I don't see how y'all keep up with it without a list, but I'd like to see it.
Any further questions or comments?
Well, I'll just say that I'll agree to disagree. I think the consensus is to keep it the way it is, so we'll just do that.
Okay, do I not take a vote then?
It's a possibility.
Only if somebody wants to make a motion.
Okay. I'll hear a motion?
No.
No, okay. Thank you. Item number 31 is to convene into executive session. I'm going to call a 10-minute recess before we do that. And we will then, pursuant to Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee as follows. Annual evaluation of the municipal judge. So at 7:40, we will convene into executive session. The time is 8 p.m., and the City Council is in open session. There's no action to be taken at this time. Item number 33, consider and approve future events for City Council and/or city staff pursuant to Resolution number 2004-081.
Next meeting's the 14th, is that correct?
Yes.
12th.
December 12th, yes.
And it's the only one of the month.
I just had one thing. One, I don't know who gave this to me, but thank you. That's really kind. And I will say just one thing. Thanksgiving's coming up, and it's an honor to be able to serve with all of you. And I think we're all thankful, and just appreciate everyone.
And two things. This coming Saturday is the Christmas tree lighting. There's festivities from 4 to 8, I believe. And Saturday, November 26th, is Small Business Saturday. So support our local vendors.
I think the parade's December 3rd.
Yes? Yes. All right. I'll hear a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, staff, for spending the evening with us.
Always a pleasure.